So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to RSA. We got a little telephone problem here, but I have Maura Hoovier with us, and she's going to be talking about some phishing, smishing, and other similar types of attacks. Go ahead, Maura.
Okay, thank you, Joe. So phishing attacks, like phishing attacks, are perpetrated with, the objective of committing fraud, except that phishing, as its name suggests, involves a voice calling over the phone. So phishing is something that requires an automated dialing system. So if I were a fraudster, I would be using something called a war dialer to go on and dial a huge number of phone numbers. So, that kind of long list of numbers could be, I could obtain that from either white pages or by hacking into some kind of database. But anyway, once I have that long list of phone numbers, I can go on and call as many people as I can. And what I would do is have an automated recording that, say, if you were to pick up the phone, you would hear some kind of automated message that would tell you that your credit card or bank account has seen there's been suspicious activity on your bank accounts or credit card accounts, and then that recording would tell you to go on and call some kind of customer support or technical support number in order to settle the matter and see what's wrong. So if you were to hear this recording, Joe, and you're to fall for this ruse, you would call up another phone number, and then that you would once again get another recording that would ask for different kinds of personal and sensitive information, such as your credit card number or your bank account number, along with any other information that can be punched in, like your social security number, date of birth. And then, of course, as a fraudster, once I have that information, I'd be able to go on and commit fraud either on your credit card account or online banking account.
Okay, Maura.
So,
That kind of makes sense. Going down that path. All right. Did you have more you wanted to add to that?
right. So phishing, interestingly, mostly affects smaller banks. Smaller banks that are specific to a region, for the simple reason that if as a fraudster I can get my hands on, say the white pages of a certain region, I can go ahead and call all those numbers up, and then I'm very likely to land on consumers of those regional banks.
So, Maura, do me a favor, if you would. Can you spell out the first term that you were talking about, and then spell out the second term, because they sound similar, but they're not.
Are we talking about vishing or vishing and smishing?
Well, that's exactly my point. Because some people listening to this may get confused between the vishing and
Sure.
smishing and phishing. All three of them have very, very similar sounds to them. All right. So the first one you were talking about was which?
Vishing. I just typed that in the chat. Vishing is VISHING.
Okay, I see that. Thank you very much.
Right.
All right.
Derived from voice and phishing, and then smishing is derived from SMS and phishing, so it's SMISHING.
Ah, okay, I see that, and I just published your comment up on the chat so everybody understands. Because there are three similar terms, but they're three different types of attacks.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry for interrupting.
Sure. No, okay. So, as I was mentioning, phishing is something that regional and smaller banks are more likely to be the targets of. And since 2009, RSA has seen that 60% of all phishing targets have been regional banks and, basically smaller region-specific banks. Another combination that we sometimes see with regards to phishing is a combination of phishing and phishing. That's when a consumer gets a spam email that tells them to call a certain number. And once again, that number would, play some bogus recording, some bogus message on your account having suspicious activity. And could you please call this number to verify your information or your activity? So that's a combination of phishing and phishing.
Ah. Okay. Do we have anything else we wanted to round that off with just before we end this segment?
No. After we go out for a break, I can go back and start on smishing.
Okay, well then we'll take a short break here, and we'll have more from Maura Huvia for RSA's Fraud Action Research Labs over in Israel. We'll be right back, folks. Just stay tuned 1 second.